Hey, hey. Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much again for being here for this special St Barbara's Day lunch event for the WA Mining Club in 2021. Tim McMillan is my name. It's my pleasure to be your MC again this afternoon. And at this moment, I'm going to invite John Maguire up to the stage for our Welcome to Country.
Thanks very much, Tim. And can I thank Cassandra for the invitation to conduct this Welcome to Country today. I arrived and I looked around and not too many gentlemen were wearing ties. I thought I'll rip it off in a moment. And then I ran into the ubiquitous Vic Bullo, and he had a tie on. It's marvellous to be here, and what a fabulous crowd of people. Can I also briefly pay my respects to the people who've lost their lives in this industry. There are places where you find serenity, where you find a sense of belonging. And for us as Noongar people, this is our country, Whadjuk, Quop Budja, this beautiful place. And if we look through the window, we can see the beauty that is there in front of us. When I mention places like Garagarap, Birlu, Boilerup, Gagatup, Bilyada, Derbyl-Yerrigan, Jalgara, and this place that we meet on today, Warndulia, they're iconic locations that we see every day, but the names that I mentioned are the first names of those locations. Names that we as Noongar inhabitants of this land called thousands of years ago. So it's wonderful to be here. Wanju, welcome. Nganjurup, Nunuk Nitja Yakin, Ngalabuja, Whadjuk Nitja Quop Budja. Welcome to this place, and as a traditional person of these lands, can I welcome you to this country. Me and my family have direct connections to Whadjuk and Balladong, which is over the hill in the Avon. The Derbyl-Yerrigan and Gugulyabilia, the Swan and the Avon rivers, gives us a very direct connection to these lands. The river systems are the umbilicus that provides all of our sources of food and water and connects us and our families in a most emphatic and tangible way. Nganjurup Nunuk Nitja Yakin, Kunyan Nitja, Kulbarangin Budja Kulakmaya, Kunyan Wa. This is country that my old people walked on and talked on a long time ago. Demagamangert Wiern Kayamurt Kunyan, Demagamam Nunukurt Budja. So this is my grandfather's and grandmother's country. This is their country where they walked and talked. This is their country where their spirits still preside. Sorry. I just want to say this little bit here. Wall, the sky, our father. Budja, the earth, our mother. Kundam, our high sense logic, the yin and yang of our existence, the balance that it created for us as traditional people who walk these lands. Our Burunga, the totemic obligations that gave us obligations to protect our land and our country. Budawan, Nunuk, Gala Kurling, Gala Moorch Weirn, Kurling Jinang. Later, when this function is done and you head home, may the good spirits of our old people watch over you and guide you safely. double going, double going. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Always a pleasure to have you here at our events, so thank you. Folks, before we go any further, I'll ask you to turn your mobiles to silent if you haven't done that already. Please keep them out in front of you though, and jump on the WA Mining Club's LinkedIn page if you haven't done that already. We're clocking a bit over 13,200 members so far, so jump on board if you haven't done it already. There's always lots of good information dispensed through the Mining Club's LinkedIn page. And I hope you enjoyed the St Barbara's Day service this afternoon, and an extra special thanks to Life member Tad Watroba. Once again, you heard a little bit from Tad outside there during the service. It was Tad's vision all those years ago that brought the St Barbara's Day Remembrance Service to WA and to the Mining Club. So Tad, thank you so much once again. And please know, folks, that today's luncheon is our biggest event ever. So again, thank you so much for being part of this occasion. So today, pleased to tell you we have some very special guests with us this afternoon who we will acknowledge throughout the course of the afternoon, and I'd like to make special mention of our sponsors as well. Our major sponsor today is the Minerals Council of Australia, the leading advocate for Australia's world-class minerals sector. They are committed to strategies and partnerships that support and improve mining's ESG performance. Other key priorities are policies that enhance the sector's profitability and global competitiveness. They are working with communities, stakeholders, investors and government to increase the opportunities and benefits for all that arise from a successful and sustainable Australian minerals sector. So thank you, MCA. Thank you to our associate sponsors as well. WestTrac, one of the largest Caterpillar dealers in the world. WestTrac has provided customers with mining and construction equipment solutions for over 30 years. Amcap Industrial, turning parts into solutions for safer and efficient asset maintenance. Also Bilby Downing Teal, who for over 50 years have been assisting industry leaders fulfil their project recruitment requirements with senior level, highly qualified technical and executive candidates. Wave International, Wave Projects and Wave People. We determine, design and deliver your resource projects. CPC Engineering, whose highly skilled and talented team has the experience and expertise to deliver practical solutions supported by seamless integration of design and project systems to fast-track project delivery. Australasian Mining Services, who have had a successful 18-year history of delivering a range of high-quality drilling consumables in all market conditions. And finally, from our long-standing partner and sponsor of today's luncheon, could you please turn your attention to the screens.
It has been hugely successful with our rocks, crops and cameras economy. But this success has come at a cost. Economic complacency has left Australia exposed. In our latest report, Australia Remade, we look at our economy and the world in a new way. We look at the economic connections that make up our economy today and how we can take those connections to make new ones that take us from complacent to sophisticated. Find out more.
Thank you, Deloitte. Thank you also to our associate sponsors as well. We're also honoured to be partnering with a number of prestigious organisations in 2021, the names of whom are flashing up on the screen there. So would you please join me in thanking all of our sponsors that I've acknowledged so far this afternoon. Thank you for your support. Now, we will be having a prize draw at the end of today. We'll announce our winner a little bit later on. You'll also see on your tables today a copy of the newly pressed 2021 edition of Mindsight. If you're a member, you should be receiving a copy shortly, but have a flick through. It's another beautifully designed publication, courtesy of the team at Platform, some of whom are in the room this afternoon. Hello, Kirsty. Some great content in there, fantastic stories, beautiful photos, so please check it out. And I'd like to invite the President, Natalie Taylor, to the stage now for her final President's Address for 2021.
Thanks, Tim. Good afternoon all, and wow, what a crowd have we got. What a year we've all had, and one we should all be immensely proud of. Even the media have noticed our huge contribution throughout COVID. Let's start with a heartfelt round of applause to everyone in our industry and all the related industry and businesses that the mining industry supports. Let's celebrate that mining contributes more to our nation than any other industry. And it's important we remember that and be proud of it. And be proud to work in and stick up for our industry. I'd like to welcome our life members, Tad Watroba, Vic Bullow, Mike Hebdeen, Eddie Plume, Mike Cipatelli, Evan Biggs and Alan Dixon, and past presidents Damien Quayle, Kirsty Danby, and a very, very special welcome to Neil Watson, who, as many of you know, hasn't been well, and we are so thrilled that you and Tina can be here today. Other special guests include Sam Walsh, Alex Atkins, Barry Upton, Chris Cairns, Colin Bell, Dan Locker, Daniel Tucker, Florence Drummond, Gerhard Veldsman, Glenn Ware, Ian Testro, Jim Bayer, John Wellborn, Liam Twigger, Mark Norwell, Mark Zebner, Mike Spreadborough, Morgan Ball, Simon Dyke and Tamron Barker. Now, to our amazing WA Mining Club committee, which our events would not happen without, I would like to say a heartfelt thank you to you. Craig Hook, Vice President, if I can get you all to stand when I say your name, that'll be greatly appreciated, so I can embarrass you a little bit this year. Ian Skelton, Treasurer, Sharon Goddard, Secretary, Felicity Jones, Memberships, Jordan Rogers, Young Professionals Chair, Jordan Pedley, Marketing, Paul Young, Governance, Manny Garadi, Scholarships, Danny Tamati, Scholarships, Alan Char, Vice Chair of YPs, Yella McGrady, Josh Snow, Kelsey Brennan, Tom Burrow, and Josephine Leontono and Eric Samuel. And also to our contractors, Claire Clark, Cassandra Brennan, and Josh Brennan. You've all done an amazing job this year, and I wanted to say thank you for the hard work throughout the year. Now, out of the committee, I would like to say a special thank you to two individuals who are stepping down from the committee, Ian Skelton and Craig Hook. Ian Skelton has been on the committee as a treasurer for many years and has been responsible for steering the club into a very healthy financial position. With an astute financial management, we weathered the COVID-19 storm and ensured that we came through it without disastrous consequences. He has been a voice of reason and a really great mentor and will be sorely missed. Craig Hook is stepping down after 10 years on the committee and leaves us with a great legacy in terms of how we look after our members. He also has implemented the highly successful buddy system, which now boasts over 20 pairings of young professionals and experienced members to create strong bonds. Both Ian and Craig take with them years of knowledge and passion for the club and the industry, and we wish them both all the very best. Craig and Ian, could I please ask you to come to the stage to accept a small gift of thanks from the club? Now, with two of our committee members stepping down, I'd like to say a welcome to our new committee member, Hans Rumcharit, who has stepped into the role of Treasurer, and welcome our new young professional committee members, and we'll find out more about them in the new year. It's now my absolute privilege to announce that this year's Life Membership recipient is Kirsty Danby. Kirsty was heavily involved with the Mining Club, as you know, and on the committee for a number of years, and eventually led the club for 2 years as president. She was responsible for curating the speaker program for several years and was committed to providing a diverse calibre of speakers and topics for the club. Thanks to no small effort on her part, the luncheons now regularly feature a panel of industry experts talking about subjects ranging from the current market environment to new developments in exploration. Kirsty's leadership in developing the Young Professionals initiative has helped a new generation of industry leaders take to the stage and encourage young people into the mining industry. This is complemented by her support for the STEM United program. During her time of the committee, she put her heart and soul into the club and was fiercely loyal to the club and its purpose. She was a strategic leader, setting goals and priorities for the club. Kirsty's passion for the mining industry is undeniable. She is incredibly positive about her experience in the industry, which has spanned for 20 years or so. Her work in advocating for better education, support for the next generation of mining professionals, and diversity and inclusion has directly helped industry adopt a better image in the public's eye as necessary for the future and willing to support them. She volunteered many hours to help the club improve, and everything she did was in service to the club. Kirsty is the first female to be given a life membership. And Kirsty was so. And I'm proud to say Kirsty was the person, along with my CEO, Barry Fitzgerald, who's here today as well, wanted to say thank you to allow me to have this opportunity to be on the WA Mining Club Committee. So with great pleasure, can I ask Kirsty to come to the stage to accept her life membership?
Thank you, Nat. I'm very grateful and humbled to be here and to have been nominated for a life membership. Everything I've put into the WA Mining Club has been for the club, its members, and of course our awesome industry. A quick thank you to those who nominated me: Neil Watson, Stuart Matthews, Vic Bullough, Ty and all, Victoria Jackson and Peter Bradford. It's an absolute privilege to join the likes of Tad, Vic and Neil as a life member of the club. I also want to acknowledge that today we are missing a good friend to the club and a personal friend of mine, Russell Wolfe. We love you, Russ, and we miss you. I was reminiscing the other day of how much work I put into the club. Of course, it's all voluntary, and Peter reminded me of how much fun we had too. The benefits aren't just one way. For me, volunteering at the WA Mining Club gives back in spades. I very much enjoyed building relationships with industry leaders and expanding my knowledge. While I was curating the speakers for so many years, I got to meet so many leaders and learn firsthand about their plans for the future. It truly served my passion for information gathering and learning. I typically ask a barrage of questions while we were in those forums, so many more than we'd hear on stage, and in the process I discover impending issues, developments and strategies. I've also enjoyed feeding my love for the industry. The club inspires and motivates me to serve the industry through the club. I've created lasting friendships with some amazing people, many of whom are here today. Giving back and sharing my experience with the next generation is an absolute highlight, especially through establishing the Young Professionals, the scholarships and STEM United. I could see I was making a difference to people around me, and this was incredibly rewarding. Volunteering helped me to develop my new skills and build on my existing experience and knowledge, particularly across treasury and governance. And I got to meet so many wonderful people, and I continue to meet interesting people. Everyone has a story of who they are and how they came to be in the industry. And the club is a fantastic forum to learn about one another. So while this award honours my time at the WA Mining Club, I hope it also inspires you to volunteer with the club and make your mark on driving the club to greater achievements. I'd like to recognise two people who have made my time at the club particularly special. Thank you to Neil Watson. Neil invited me onto the committee and was my president. I loved serving Neil and supporting his success. As our president, Neil was a wonderful leader, a quiet achiever, and incredibly loyal to the club and its members. He was a great role model and a kind soul, and I'm very lucky to call him my friend. He tells me I only let him down on one occasion, and that's when I didn't take the role of president the year he suggested, forcing him to stay on another year. And of course, thank you to Peter Bradford, who was also a big supporter of the club. I was delighted when I roped him onto the committee for a few years of positive change and fun. As the Vice President, he'd guide me and the committee, particularly through some of the tougher times. He wasn't afraid to challenge our thinking and our purpose, and always for the better. And he always made time for me, and he still does. I'd also like to thank my partner and mining technology super nerd, Rob Derrys, for his support. It's an absolute treasure having a partner who understands the industry. He's got a strong work ethic and he loves his work as much as I love mine. And finally, to my team at Platform Communications, who have devoted their talent and expertise behind the scenes on an in-kind basis for the past 10 years. These are the guys and girls who have created the club's monthly newsletter, our website, so many presentations, speeches, managed media, designed all our material. It's this team that has supported me and the club each and every day. So thank you again to the Life members and committee for awarding me the Life membership. This is an award I will both celebrate and treasure.
Congratulations again, Kirsty. Nice to see you back up on the stage here. Anyone who knows Kirsty will know what an absolute force of nature she is. So it's fantastic to see you recognised in this way, Kirsty. So I hope you enjoy the afternoon. I just want to recognise briefly as well some of the dear friends we've lost this year. Kirsty mentioned Russ. I'll get to Russ in a moment, but also Life member Peter Atkinson, member Chris Nancaro, and last year's St Barbara's Day presenter and media personality Russell Goodrick. But look, we've already mentioned Russ. I know there was a lot of love for Russ in the room here, and he was a friend to so many. I had the unique perspective being up on stage here when his videos were being played. I think when I first started here, he was living in the States, you were in Minnesota, and you know, from the snowy backyard often in Minnesota, the videos would play and I got to see all your reactions, and most of you were just in hysterics all the time. Cassandra, sometimes I could see the knuckles, the white knuckles. She was petrified, wondering what sort of tangent he was going to go off on. The sponsors were all delighted. On occasion, there was the odd sponsor who wasn't familiar with Russell's work, who looked a little bit confused, I have to say, hearing these stories about their own companies that they thought that they were a part of, that they never knew before. But I think I can say everyone in the room was absolutely entertained. So Kylie, thank you for being here this afternoon, and I'm sure everyone will be keen to share some Russell stories with you this afternoon, and I hope you feel the love for Russ in the room this afternoon. With that, we're going to take a short break while main course comes around. Then after that, we'll hear from our guest speaker for this afternoon, Mr. Ron Sayers. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention, please. I hope you're all enjoying your afternoon. If main course is still in front of you, then please keep going, but we do have to crack on with our busy St Barbara's Day lunch event. So if you wouldn't mind heading back to your tables as well if you're not there already. The St Barbara's Day presentation is all about the journey. Over the years, we've heard many in the industry regaling us with their stories from their past and how they navigated their way through the industry to get to where they are today. And this afternoon, we're going to hear an incredible journey of the one and only Ron Sayers. So as we invite Ron Sayers up to the stage, I'll just tell you a little bit about Ron before we get into a more in-depth conversation about his incredible career. Ron was born in Kalgoorlie. His love for drilling saw him start Ausdrill back in 1987, a company that he would then lead for about 30 years. And during that time, it grew from just a handful of people to a company that employed nearly 5,000. And the business expanded from Australia into Africa, where much of its business is today. After some 30 years driving the company, Ron finally retired in 2018 and now runs his farm Yarradale Stud in Gidgee which has just a couple of hundred horses or so. So ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Ron Sayers, who's joined on stage this afternoon by his daughter, Georgia. How you going, Ron? You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Now, Ron, as I mentioned...
A little nervous, but I'm good.
Yeah. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. 2018, your company, you finally left Ausdrill and announced that you were retiring. Tell us what you've been up to in those few years since.
Well, I was in the horse breeding industry, and I've continued to do that ever since. The small problem I have 24 staff that work on the farm in the horse breeding industry, and they all want me to get another job.
Might be a little bit late for that, Ron. In 2018, when you did announce your retirement, you were acknowledged at the Diggers and Dealers Conference with the prestigious Jeff Stokes Memorial Award. During your award acceptance speech, one of the many things you said was, "Thank God I was born in Kalgoorlie." What did you mean by that?
Well, Jeff Stokes was a very good friend and a help for what we did when we established Ausdrill as a public company. And he also started Diggers and Dealers in his Palace Hotel, where it started for the first 3 years. In the first 3 years, each year, we won the Contractors Award. So Jeff and I were very, very good mates. And unfortunately, he's gone now, but we still do remember him. And Kate, his wife, she still looks after us now today.
Very good. Your story, though, is such a Kalgoorlie success story, isn't it? You were born there, you grew up there. You had to endure polio at the age of 4, which earned you the nickname Wobbly. Yep. As a kid. Somewhere along the way, it changed from Wobbly to Tanglefoot. I'm not sure if there's another story there. You know, your dad was a guard on the railways. Mum was a bit of a tennis player. You grew up with schoolmates that later became, you know, your business partners and lifelong friends. Kalgoorlie's obviously been a special place for you.
It certainly has. And I said it with my heart when I said, thank God I was born in Kalgoorlie. Mm. And the reason being, when you've been in the goldfields all those years, when my father insisted on me getting an apprenticeship as a reason to bow out. He said, you need to get an apprenticeship. So I got on a bike and pedalled from one end of Kalgoorlie to the other. And from Lamington, which is in the northern end, to the very southern end at Campbell. And over the years, Kalgoorlie was founded, Kalgoorlie gold mining was founded by immigrants and people, Irishmen, Englishmen, Yugoslavs, Italians, all travelled to the Kalgoorlie region in the early gold mining days. And they went extremely well, to the point that Western Mining were kissed on the dick a little when they found nickel at Campbell, and the gold mines had all closed at that stage. Great Boulder, Lakeview and Star, North Cal, they had all closed down because they couldn't continue the mining that they had done. And if you went back to the Second World War, a lot of them couldn't get to the mines, and they actually let them go underground as prospectors and mine the gold, and then the mining company would buy it from them. So Kalgoorlie, for me, is a very, very important place, and I've moved 20 odd years ago down here, but I'm there for every race round meeting every year.
Any excuse to get back there?
Any excuse to get back there at all.
The first time you did have to leave Kalgoorlie for a stint, though, was as a youngster, wasn't it? Life took a sudden turn, your family life anyway, when you were about 10.
Yep.
A series of events, I suppose, came from that led to you being shipped off to boarding school at New Norcia. I can't imagine you and the Benedictine monks got along all that well, but tell us what led to that in the first place.
My parents separated, and in doing so, I was at a tennis tournament myself. My mother was a very good tennis player, and she'd coach me along the way. I used to travel to Perth to compete when I was 10, 11 years old, to compete in tennis tournaments with youngsters at the time. And when I came home, I was expecting my mother to meet me at the train station. She wasn't there. And I'm looking around, and I'm worried, where's my mother? And then my father appeared. And I said, where's Mum? He said, I'll tell you, get in the car. So we get in the car. And we're driving home. I said, where's Mum? Where's Mum? He said, son, she's gone. I said, what do you mean gone? He said, she has gone. She's left us. And the only way I can explain it, if you don't feed the chooks, they fly over the fence. Because he worked on the Commonwealth Railways, he was away 5 or 6 days a week. She found another partner.
Georgia, have you got chooks up at Yarradale?
Whilst Tim's hit on George, I'd just like to explain why Georgia is here. As you can see, she's a very attractive young lady, and I put her up here just to send a message to all you young guys. She's getting married in April.
Congratulations in advance, Georgia. You might want to sit down and write your dad's speech well in advance. So you're with your dad.
Yep.
And then
I then went to New Norcia.
You went to New Norcia.
My father sent me there.
Because he still had to work, right?
Because it worked. It was a college, Benedictine monks, which were a little different, but it worked. And,
it worked? Until it didn't work?
Until it didn't work, and I used to come home.
You said, I'm not going back.
I'd come home on the train, and the last time I went, I'd had enough. And it all went back to the feed that they gave us. And I hate vegetables, and they used to make me eat them all the time. So in the finish, I said, Dad, I'm not going back. He said, you are. I said, I'm not. If you put me on the train, I'll get off in Coolgardie and walk home. So where are we going now? He said, get an apprenticeship. And that's how I finished up being here. I needed an apprenticeship to get him off me back.
You also needed to be 15 to enrol in that apprenticeship too, didn't you, Ron? You're only 14, but you just fudged the number a little bit.
I fudged the number, and
yeah.
I got an apprenticeship, and the humour of the gold mines, I got an apprenticeship at the Great Boulder Gold Mine, which is now one of the main parts of the super pit, but that all went pretty well. And where was I?
Super pit.
Yeah, the super pit, when I, sorry.
That's all right. Let's talk about your apprenticeship. You know, you'd finished that up at the age of 18.
Yes.
You really discover your love for jumbo drillers working in Kambalda.
Yes.
It was a pivotal time for you in terms of your vision for the future. What did you learn during that time?
Reason being this happened was all the jumbo drills that were used underground in those days were pneumatic, and there was two suppliers. One was Tamrock, and the other one was Gardner Denver.
Yep.
Gardner Denver all had pneumatic jumbos. Tamrock, when they came in, they bought a couple of pneumatic, but they were the first ones to introduce hydraulic jumbos, and that's where all the money was.
Yep.
And we promoted them. I went selling them. I got a job with Compare, who was a Tamrock distributor in Australia. I travelled all over the world with them and ended up with a fantastic position in the mining industry because of
And the top salesman in the country at one point, no less.
Yeah.
But there was a moment when you realised that selling them was one thing, but maybe owning them was a better idea, right?
Yes, well, there was a guy in Kalgoorlie called Bobby Baker. He ran a company called High Tech Drilling, and he used to have Gardner Denver pneumatic machines. Anyway, one day he turned up at my place and said, I'm interested in one of those hydraulic machines. So I said, not a problem. Went and got a good deal done, sold him the machine, and before you knew it, he had 3, 4, 5 hydraulic machines. And then I went round to his house one day, and he had 3 Ferraris in the driveway. And I said to him, I said, hey Bob, what's with the Ferraris? He said, one's mine, one's the wife's, and one's the son's. I said, oh yeah, there's got to be more money in using them than selling them. Yeah. So I hopped my house and bought a second-hand rig and went and got a job at the super pit in Kalgoorlie, where we're still there 30-odd years later. And it is a special place.
So you've hocked the house, you've got this second-hand drill, and away you go. Ausdrill is born. It didn't take long before the growing pains started to kick in. Your vision for expansion started to reach its limitations, so you had to bring in a partner in Golden Shamrock. How important was that partnership for you at the time?
Jim Askew I knew very well from Broken Hill. He was a mining engineer worked at Broken Hill. And I knew him. I used to try and sell gear into Broken Hill when I first started selling. Excuse me.
Got some water?
No, I'm right. Yeah. I've got a beer somewhere.
Or beer.
Yeah, where was I?
Golden Shamrock.
Yes, Golden Shamrock.
How important they were for you?
What they had was a balance sheet that I didn't have. I could borrow a little bit of money to buy a rig, but buying 3 or 4 or 5 rigs was mission impossible. But what Jim Askew gave me was a balance sheet that the banks would loan against, and it went very, very well.
Yep, to say the least. Africa was the next frontier for you, wasn't it?
Yep.
breaking into Africa? How did that come about?
We were approached by Australian companies that had gone to Africa that knew that we're in that space. And I was hawking it. I was in and out of Africa all the time, selling the concept. But eventually we got to kick a couple of goals, and then we became the people to go to.
Sounds like someone's doing a drilling tribute to you from the other side of the stadium here this afternoon too, Ron. So hopefully that's not putting you off too much. Tell me about your old mate Brian Mann, one of the really key appointments in the story of Ausdrill. When you first brought him into the fold though, you had to convince him to not move away from Kalgoorlie and retire down on the south coast, didn't you? How did you do that?
Okay, well, what happened, at that point in time, Ausdrill was only drill and blast. That's all we did. And one day, I see an ad, I think it was like on a Wednesday or Thursday, I see an ad in the paper, drilling equipment, exploration drilling equipment for sale at BP Minerals, which was a mineral drilling division of BP that they used. And I knew that Brian ran the place. He'd been there for 22 years and he'd ran it. So I rang him up and said, what's with the deal? He said, they're shutting down. He said, they're closing it all. I said, would they sell it as a job lot? He said, well, maybe, I don't know. He said, I'll ask Dave Stevens, and Dave was the manager at the time. So Dave rang me back and he said, what's up? I said, well, you've got all these people and equipment that's there. Is it for sale? If you want to go to an auction and sell it one machine at a time, I'll give you a job lot. He said, what's the number? And I must have paid too much because I paid him 1.6 million. And they put their hand up and said, we'll take it. So I then got Brian on board, and everyone was paid up on the Friday to make them redundant for Monday, but they just walked back in on Monday and we gave them all a ticket and everything carried on.
There you go.
So it all went very, very well. A few problems we had along the way was Brian and I both had fishing villages at a place called Duke of Orleans and round from Esperance. He had one and I built one, because when I worked with him, I built one along opposite where his was. And he had all this money. He had $500,000 redundancy for his 22 years that he'd worked for them. BP Minerals paid him all this money. And he kept talking about, I'm going to Esperance, I'm going to Esperance. And he was fair dinkum give me the shits. So I said, there's only one way I'm going to fix this. I've got to get rid of his money. So what I said to him one day, I said, hey, Buff, his nickname was Buff. I said, hey, Buff, I said, we need to do something. He said, what? I said, well, look at all these workers we got here now. Ausdrill Drill and Blast, Ausdrill Exploration, we've got all these people here. What are we going to do? He said, what have you got in mind? I said, why don't we buy a pub? I said, they'll all call in and have a beer on the way home every night, and we'll go, all right. He had to think about it, and he said, oh yeah, he said, we'd look at it. I said, good, get in the car. So we got in the car, drove up the street, because the Broken Hill was just at the top end of the street. Pulled up, walked in, and there was this old pommy guy that owned it. And I said to him, whatever his name was, Dave or whatever, I said, would you be interested in selling the pub? He said, yes. I said, how much? He said, 1.6 million. I said, oh. I looked at Manny. Manny gave me the thumbs up. So I shook his hand and said, deal done, we'll send you the money tomorrow. So here we go, we've got the Broken Hill Hotel at the top end of the street. It went from 5,000 a week turnover to 25,000 a week. Yeah. That's how well it was going. It was,
so you paid for your own beers then?
Well, that and a few other things. Yeah. Because there was another little... There was another little incident.
No, let's look, we'll move on from this.
You don't want the incident?
No,
I've fixed it. I've fixed it.
No. Maybe that's a story best told in the pub. So maybe anyone wants to come along, tickets to the Ron Sayer show afterwards, maybe you can get the rest of it.
Look, let me put it to you another way.
Okay.
I've got a clearance from Brian Mann to tell the story.
Oh, God.
When we bought the pub and we owned the pub,
Okay.
Brian's wife's name's Lynn, as is my name. My wife's name is Lynn. And what we used to just go there every night after work on the way home ourselves and have a drink. But then I thought, because my wife was starting to get a bit cranky, I said, what we'll do, we'll get the girls to come out on a Friday night and have a beer until 7 or 8 o'clock, and they can drive us home. So everyone will be a winner. He said, oh, okay. Yeah, all right, that'll work. So I was in charge of skimpies that we had in the pub. And I changed the rules in Kalgoorlie. Instead of having a new skimpy every week, I got the 3 best skimpies in Kalgoorlie and had them for 2 years. And they just used to work. And the guys would go in, the girls would know what they drank, what they wanted, they'd look after each other. It all went well. Anyway, that went along so far, so good. In the meantime, Manny looked after the geological or the geo section of exploration drilling. And there was a lady, Annie, that worked at New Celebration, which was a mine halfway between Kalgoorlie and Kambalda. And Manny, as he does, he gave her a nickname, High Grade. Because she was a geologist, so he called her High Grade. And she used to come into the pub 3 or 4 nights a week, have a beer and then go home. Anyway, this particular time, on a Friday night, I went up the pub a little bit early and my wife turned up a little bit early. And I was sitting at the bar with High Grade and my wife walked in and walked straight past, went to the other end of the bar, sat down by herself. I thought, I'm in a bit of trouble there. So I walked down, sat down with her. Would you like a drink, darling? No. I said, what's the matter? She said, you're having an affair with that woman, aren't you? I said, no, I'm not. She said, yes, you are. I said, no, I'm not. Bunny Talbot is. Now, this has only come to light in the last year or so. But Bunny Talbot died 3 years ago, so...
You'll be pleased to know that Ron and Linny are still great. They've moved past it. Let's move on to the next chapter. Georgia, you okay over there? Things are going beautifully. By 1994, you list the company on the stock exchange. Yep. The share price is $1, which puts your valuation at about 11 million at the time.
Yep.
A few years go by. By 1997, things are going even better, yep. And you decide, I'm going to retire. What happened?
Well, I got into these horses. And as I said earlier, I qualified it earlier. 24 staff on the farm all want me to get another job, so I'm no good at it. But I did my best. And horses aren't the go.
A good hobby.
They're a good hobby.
Like owning a pub.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, they're good people, they're hard workers and everything else,
Yep.
but I just don't know anything about it.
But you know that you like them. Life took another very serious and near catastrophic turn for you as well in that same year, didn't it? 1997. You suffered a stroke.
Yes.
Can you paint a picture for us? Tell us what happened.
I was 46 years of age at the time, and I was working at home on the farm at Yarradale. In Calgary, I was working there, and all of a sudden I started to get a tingling in my arm and my face. So I was back in Perth when this happened. I'd moved down that day, and that night I've got this tingling sensation, and I said to Lenny, you need to take me to hospital. She said, what for? I said, I think I might be having a stroke. Because my grandmother had had one, and she explained to me what the symptoms and that were. And she said, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, just take me down to the Midland Hospital and we'll get it checked out. So I went back inside, grabbed a stubby out of the fridge, a cigarette packet, and I walked in, and I got a cigarette in one hand and a stubby in the other. And Linny said, what the hell are you doing? I said, don't worry about it. She said, don't worry about it. You're having a stroke and you're smoking and drinking. I said, it's only one of each. And it was not doing any damage. I said, it's pacifying me.
So you get to the hospital,
I
the
get,
doctor sees you.
I get to the hospital, the neurosurgeon, they brought him out in the middle of the night. He's checked me out, couldn't find anything wrong, put me back in the bed, and half an hour later, I'm paralysed right down the right side. Arm, leg, everything, and I'm gone. So they shoveled me back into a stroke ward where you can get treated and looked after better. And I'm in trouble. The guy comes round at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. He said, how you feeling? I said, not too flash. He said, why? I said, I walked in here last night. What have you done to me? He said, you've had a stroke. I said, that's fucking obvious. I said, I'm 46 years of age. What causes a stroke? My grandmother had one, she was 70. I said, that shit happens, but not at 46. Anyway, it took me 8 months to get back to being able to walk again properly as I could do.
At one point, though, the doctor asked you if you were a smoker, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
He said, do you smoke? Because I'm going crook. What have you done to me? This is all your fault. He said, do you smoke? I said, I used to. He said, how many? I said, 60 a day. He said, when did you give it up? I said, yesterday.
And he's still off the ciggies, so... And you're back on your feet after some intensive months of rehabilitation,
yes.
And so much so that by 2000, the year 2000, you're back at Ausdrill. And fair to say things aren't going swimmingly at that point in time. The share price had slumped down to about 5 or 6 cents.
Yep.
What did you do to set about steering the ship when you came back in 2000?
We made a lot of changes. We started syndicating a lot of businesses that we had in-house. Bit manufacturer, hammer manufacturer, and so on. We made a lot of stuff ourselves. And that got us going, and at the end of the day, we came out the other end.
Yep. By 2011, Ausdrill had a valuation of $1 billion.
Yep.
Things were going significantly better by then. And I suppose that the success story, you know, the kid from Kalgoorlie who left school at 14 and built this company from scratch, you really hit that milestone, $1 billion valuation. But tell me, what are you most proud of in that whole Ausdrill story?
A thing called the Ausdrill Way. And what we did well, long story short, but when I got my apprenticeship at the Great Boulder Gold Mine, they explained to me they had a social and benefit fund, that they called it, at the Great Boulder. And everyone used to put in a couple of, I can't remember, it was a couple of dollars, $1 a week or whatever, to go into a fund to support people if they got into trouble. And that might be a personal thing at home where you lose a family member, your dad, your mum, or whatever. And this Ausdrill Way looked after people, and we used to get them to put in a couple of bucks a week, which we, the company, would match, and that money would go into a fund, and it would be there. And if you bear with me, I left it.
Are you looking for one of those?
No.
We'll get to that in a moment.
I can roughly remember the numbers anyway, but in the paper that I had, it shows that in the years that Ausdrill Way's been operating, we've raised 1.67 million that's gone into this fund for the staff, and we've paid out 1.4 million. And this is run by a committee of 3 company-appointed employees, the guys that can know which way's up and that look after people. And it's worked an absolute treat. And people enjoy it. They know that if they get into a jam, there's someone in the corner for them.
Yep. You've been instrumental in developing your training programs and facilities as well to bring through the next generation of people, particularly in the drilling game.
Yep.
How did that come about, and why was that such a big passion for you?
Well, I'm a motor mechanic by trade, and everything about mining equipment is keeping it going, keeping it operating, making it work.
One of the things that people know of you, Ron, is that you don't do things by halves. And from the couple of encounters I've had with you, when you've got an idea in your head, there is no stopping you.
If I can swear for a moment.
No, I wasn't inviting you to do that. I was inviting you to tell us the story of the famous Ausdrill potato peeler.
I will tell you that, but I've got to tell you the other story.
Go for it. Mike's yours.
We've had a lot of fuck-ups too. Now, the potato peeler. And I think everybody here has one.
Yep.
And it goes way, way back to the Great Boulder days as well.
So you do like your vegetables after all?
No.
Just potatoes?
Just potatoes. But the potato peeler, I got a phone call from a guy called John Kavner, who was a manager in Africa at the time. And I was going out to Ghana on the Monday. And he rang me, he said, look, Ron, he said, can you do me a favour? Can you bring me over a few potato peelers? I said, what do you want potato peelers for? I said, you got staff, chefs, that do all your cooking and everything. Surely the Christ they can peel your spuds. He said, no, we need potato peelers. I thought, oh, okay. So I go down to grab the wife and we go down the street and pulled into Bunnings. And I went into a shop called, not Bunnings, Woolworths, and said, where do you buy potato peelers? And they said, a shop called Things, the special shop inside the Woolworths supermarket. So I went in and had a look, and I said to the lady, I said, you got any potato peelers? She came out with a box. She had 15 potato peelers, different ones. Every one of them was different. I said, oh yeah. I said, how much are they? She said, $1 each. I said, oh, I'll take the 15. So I bought the 15 potato peelers, went home, rang John up. I said, I've got some potato peelers. I said, but what I have done, I've grabbed a handful of all these other ones. I'm going to work out which is the best one, and then we'll give that to you. He said, oh, okay. So we crank it all up again. And where did I get to?
You eventually went through a lot of bags of spuds.
I went through the 15 walking out of Woolies, I walked past their stand where they had potato peelers, and they had a different one, so I bought that one as well.
Yeah.
Just an extra one to make the thing good. When I got home, that was the best potato peeler out of the whole 15. So I rang up the next morning because I bought it through Woolies in Sydney, and they gave me the company that was selling these potato peelers in Sydney. So I rang up and said, how many have you got? And they said 10,000. I said, how much are they? They said $1 each. I said, I'll take the 10,000. So we took the 10,000 potato peelers home, and they went super. And let me tell you a story. With all the countries and places that Ausdrill has operated in, the amount of times I've been to a mining conference anywhere, and the amount of people are standing on the Ausdrill stand demanding potato peelers. So when you get your potato peelers home tonight, go and grab half a dozen new spuds and just try them, and I defy anyone to say they're not good enough.
Well, there you go. Finally, look, there's too much in your incredible career to get through here this afternoon. I know that retaining your staff and looking after your staff has been a huge part of your culture that you've fostered at Ausdrill. I suppose at the moment it's a time where staff retention is a real challenge. Yes. So as a final thought you'd like to leave the audience with this afternoon,
we have
how do you address that challenge?
We've already addressed it.
Potato peelers?
No. Last year we put in place a bonus scheme for workers. And the people that built the company are the people that you need to hang on to. And over the years, we've had a lot of people come and go, but over the later part, we've hung on to a lot of good people. And we pay them a bonus. If they get to retirement age, and the guy's on $40,000 a year, we pay him a $40,000 bonus on his retirement date. And he knows that he can come back and he can still earn the same money that he's on. And we've done that, and it's been magnificent. It works. It really works.
Fantastic. Ron, we could be here all afternoon, and I'm sure many in the room would be keen to hear some more of your extended versions of your anecdotes in the pub over the next couple of hours. But thank you so much for being our special guest here for the St Barbara's Day luncheon this afternoon. And I think Nat Taylor's going to come up and give you another vote of thanks. So would you please thank Ron Sayers?
No, I'd just like to add to that and say thank you, Ron. Coming up to your station, actually hearing your story for the first time, I was so excited for you to come to the luncheon today to share it with everyone else. So I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did, so thank you.
Thank you. All good? Very good. And thank you to Georgia as well, and good luck at the wedding. All right, thank you, folks. We're going to take a short break now. Dessert is going to come around. After that, we have our traditional auction still to come, the bottle of Grange. Are we going to go straight to it? Okay, all right. We're on the fly here. We're going to go straight into it. Dessert's coming. Enjoy your dessert. We're going to crack on. Thank you again, Ron. All right. If I could grab your attention just for a moment again, folks, we are lucky to have our charity partner with us who does incredible work in the community. Miners Promise has been taking care of our mining and resources sector families in times of crisis. I think Ron touched on this issue, but Miners Promise has been doing similar work since it was founded back in 2010 by Ian Fletcher and Helen Fitzroy. So this is the organisation that supports our hard-working men and women in their greatest time of need. So if I could get you just to hush just for a moment, folks, as I ask the founder, Ian Fletcher, to come up to the stage and say a few words.
Thank you, Tim. I know everyone's wanting to press on, so I'll keep this as brief as I can. Natalie Taylor, President of the WA Mining Club, Cassandra Brennan, who organised this for today. First of all, I'd like to thank the WA Mining Club for partnering with Miners Promise. I am still in the mining industry in the sense that I'm a non-executive director with CPC Engineering, who are one of the sponsors here today. I'm sure most of you in this room read the Kalgoorlie Miner because it's the only regional daily newspaper. It's the oldest regional newspaper in Western Australia, and it's still a very great journal for mining. In yesterday's Kel Miner, you would have seen the St Barbara's Day Festival wrap. And of course, tomorrow is St Barbara's Day, and we all know St Barbara is the patron saint of mining, and we're commemorating those who have lost their lives in mining, and Tad made a very fitting tribute before we came to lunch. So that Kalgoorlie Miner wrap had a register of miners' deaths in the goldfields, and if you haven't seen it, it is really interesting to look at. It shows people who have died in the mining industry in the goldfields since the late 1890s. As you know, gold was only discovered in Kalgoorlie in 1893, Coolgardie 1892. Over the life of when mining was first discovered in the goldfields and now, 1,500 people have lost their lives, 1,500. And if you want to say what was the annual average, it works out 11.5 people per annum. It's a lot of people. We have a war memorial in Canberra that commemorates those who lost their lives in theatres of war, and it's fitting that we do. There's one entry on that register which I'd like to refer to, the mining death register, which was in the goldfields, or Kalgoorlie Mining Estate. And the name of that person is Stephen Fitzroy. He was aged 35. He was a sink slope miner at Central Norseman Gold Mine, and he died on the 14th of May 1991, 30 years ago. Widow was left Helen Fitzroy, and Helen, with me, started Miners Promise. Helen was in her early 30s and she had 3 young children. She got no support from anyone but her family and friends for a number of years. As part of that grieving process, she wrote a book, and I'm sure many of you would have seen it. It's called Just a Number, a personal account of grief. That's Helen's story, and it is a very compelling story. So when I was working with BHP in Westall, BHP Billiton as it was then, I met Helen, and basically in 2009, you might recall, there were a number of fatalities over a number of years in BHP Billiton, and BHP Billiton Iron Ore had a contractors mining safety forum at which Helen spoke. And I spoke to Helen and I said to Helen, what's your aspiration? She said, I want to have something like defence and police. I said, you mean a legacy? She said, absolutely. So we put our heads together and we created Miners' Promise. Now, why do we have it today? Ron Sayers gave that very good example of the Ausdrill Way, and that's fantastic. That used to happen in mining communities. There were friendly societies, and people who lived in a mining town all got together, they put money in and they looked after their own. But today the world's changed because we have FIFO and drive-in, drive-out workers who come from all over the state, all over the nation, and from other countries like New Zealand. So the world's changed. So Miners' Promise is the modern day friendly society. And it's very important that we have that. Now, basically, it's an arm's length relationship that provides direct support to the family of a person who has been seriously injured or dies who works in the resources sector. That's mining and oil and gas. It's an apolitical, not-for-profit charitable organisation, just like Defence Legacy and Police Legacy. Resource sector fatalities, serious injuries involve multiple investigations. We know there'll be the Mine Safety Inspectorate, and we know there's this new strengthened legislation in that particular space which has come into effect. We will have, if it's a fatality, a coronial inquiry, and the police will be involved. And then invariably the company will do its own internal investigation. Now, if you are a person who has been affected by someone who has been killed in a mining accident, you suffer from bewilderment. And these are Helen's own words. This is Helen's quote. I saw people crying out for basic information on process, legal advice, access to support services, and often just emotional support when they had no one to talk to. I saw people crumbling under the weight of emotional, legal, financial and bureaucratic challenges that plagued them for months after the event. And there is no single organisation dedicated to providing legacy services specific for the resources sector. Defence has Defence Legacy, Police has Police Legacy. Miners' Promise is the only equivalent for the resources sector. Miners' Promise provides practical, emotional, financial support services for miners and their families when a tragic event has occurred. The promise responds usually within 72 hours of being notified, and this event could be a fatality, serious illness, incapacity or an accident. Miners' Promise exists to shine a light into the future and help families gradually find a path to a new life. Over 200 families have been supported by Miners' Promise since we started, and I have a number of examples here, but I suggest that you go onto the Miners' Promise website, which is info@minerspromise.org.au, and there's many examples of families. Now, it doesn't have to be a mine site or an oil and gas site accident. It can be a person who is injured or becomes ill outside the work scene. An example that I would give you here is a guy by the name of Steve Shotton. We supported Steve and his family for 18 months through terminal brain cancer. He and his daughter wrote stories before Steve passed away at the beginning of this year. Once again, they're on the website. We have here Sarah Garvey today, who does a fantastic job in running Miners' Promise, and she is very keen to talk to any of you. These are the companies that are involved, because we can have corporate membership, and this is just a few examples. BHP, Mount Gibson, Norton Goldfields, Black Cat Syndicate, Rio Tinto, CITIC Pacific, Evolution, KCGM, Northern Star, McMahon, South 32, Westrac, Worthy Parts, Tees and Fenner Dunlop. You can also be a member of Miners' Promise and make a contribution, and the contributions are tax deductible. Today, I understand, are going to have donor cards. Is that right, Cassandra, or no? Sorry? Yes, yeah, the donation cards, but we've got to. Okay, all right. So, you could donate today. So I'd just like to say thank you on this very important day, which is really celebrating St Barbara's Day and recognising all those who've not only died in the course of their work with the resources sector, but also those who've been seriously injured and who are continue to be with us. So thank you very much once again to the WA Mining Club for being a partner in this very important cause. Thank you.
Miner's Promise was the best thing my husband had ever done. To know that his family would be helped, supported financially, mentally, if anything happened. You always think it's going to happen to someone else, and unfortunately it can happen to you. Jimmy was an amazing man. He just gave his all to everything. He loved everyone, was loved by everyone. He was the sort of guy that, just gave his all, and he just, amazing bloke. December the 8th we talked. Jimmy said to me, Sharon, I'm feeling really tired. And I said, well, okay, love, you go off to bed, And then thankfully, his last words, I love you, which we both said to each other, which was amazing to be able to say that to your husband and not knowing what was going to happen. The phone call the next morning turned my life upside down. Telling my kids that their father had passed was the hardest thing. And we just all cried together and we didn't know what to do. Totally lost. The kids were broken. I think that's the word, broken. Just, broken. If I didn't have Miner's Promise support, mentally at the time and financially, I think I would have lost the farm. We're so thankful to them for everything they did. They helped bury my husband. They were there to talk 24/7. I could ring this beautiful lady and talk to her whenever, which I did. And I knew that beautiful voice was at the end of the phone 24/7. Without Miner's Promise, I don't know where I'd be today. The support's not just for the partner, it's for the whole family.
Miner's Promise provides crisis support to families immediately on a tragic or catastrophic event occurring, such as a death, a serious illness, or a serious accident. Straight away, Miner's Promise is in there giving the immediate assistance that families need at a time when they're extremely traumatised. Resource companies can gain an incredible amount from joining up with Miner's Promise, either through partnering with them or encouraging or even paying for their employees to be members, because it shows that they care about the people that work for the organisation and that there is immediate crisis support should a catastrophic event occur, which we all hope never will.
Thank you very much, Ian. Now, if you're looking for an opportunity right now to assist Miner's Promise, then we can deliver. It is time, thanks to our good friends at Rapid Crushing, in particular Neil Irvine, who have been great supporters of this part of St Barbara's Day now for many, many years, for our traditional annual Grange Hermitage auction. We have a 2017 bottle of Grange to auction this afternoon. And to do that, would you please welcome Peter Holmes from Auctioneering Company to see how much one of you would like to pay for our fantastic prize, our 2017 Grange Hermitage. Peter, over to you.
Well, to paraphrase Paul Hogan, that's a real bell. I won't go into the whole story because we're having a great time here today. Everybody enjoying themselves? That's good. Everybody enjoying themselves and wants to support the Miner's Promise? Yes! That's good. Okay, well, we have the 2017 Grange. You all know that it's arguably Australia's most celebrated wine. It's crafted using fully ripe, intensely flavoured and structured Shiraz grapes. And look, I've got lots and lots of tasting notes here, which I'm not going to read. Unless somebody pays me $5,000, then we'll run over, won't we? No. Okay. Just before we get into that, Cassandra has got the product there. She's going to... There is something inside the box. Before we start, Ron, I really enjoyed your discussion, and Ron was kind enough to give me some advice in the Gentleman's WC. Do you remember that? No, I was trying to jump the queue to get to the whatever. But another aspect for Ron, $1.6 million buying it as a job lot. You owe the auctioneers about $50,000 in missed commission. Okay, well, we're there. We're ready to go. If I can't see you, you're all loud enough to say, yes! From that end of the room, and then I will take your bids. I've got a couple of helpers here, but 680 people, here's a lot to cover. So, and I'm going to move away from the microphone, so let's go from there. Okay, well, we've got it working, so I can move around. Okay, 2017 Grange, what's it worth here today? Last year we got close to, if not more than $2,000. Let's start at $500 then. $500. Let's 500, 750, 750 there, 750, 1,000 on that down there, 750 from the left winger, 750. Come on, you right wingers, let's get into this. $1,000 there on your call. 1,000 there, white shirt. 1,000, 1,000. Remember to shout, Josh. 1,200, 1,500. The lady at the back. 1,500. The lady at the back. 1,500, 1,750, 1,750. 2,000, 2,000 there. 21 if you like. 21 if you like. You got 2,000 the grey suit. 21 here, 2,100, 21, 22, 22, 23, 23 there, grey suit, 23, 24, quickly, 24, quick 24, 24, 24, 25, 25, spotted shirt, 25 there, 25 I've got, 25 on bid, 2,500 the bid, 2,500 the bid, I'm selling it at 2,500, I'm looking around, oh, 26, 26 there, close to, grey suit, 27, 27 now, 27 and 8 if you like, 27 the bid, 27 here, 27 grey suit, 27 grey suit, you're all out. $3,000 just down here, thank you. In fairness, let's make it 3,200. Not for him, 3,200, 3,200, 34 now, that's cost you money, 3,400 the bid, 3,400 the bid, 34.6 if you like, 34.6, 34, 36 white shirt, 3,600 there, 3,600, I've got 36, 30, $4,000! $4,000 there, 4,000 the bid, that's about $750 a glass, isn't it? $4,000 there, 42 if you like, 4,000 the bid. I've got 4,000 here, 4,000 the bid, 4,000 the bid. 4-1 if you like then for the tight-fisted one. 4-1, 4-1, 4-2. 4-1 there, white shirt, 4-1 the bid. $4,100 the bid, 4,100 the bid, all gone at 4,100 white shirt. I'm looking on. Can you see any more, Cassandra? I can't. 4,100 the white shirt. I'll take you 50 if it helps. 4,100 there, the white shirt. 4,100, all gone. I'm not going to pass it in, Neil. 4,100 there. 42, 42 there. Pattern shirt. 42 the bid, 42 the bid, 42, 3. 4,200 the bid, and 3 if you like, 4,200 the bid. 4,200 the bid, I've got it at 4,200. I'm selling, and it's going, and I'm looking around. 4,200 pattern shirt, 4,200. It's gone! Congratulations, everybody. The miners' profit have done well. Promise has done well today, haven't they? Make sure that gets the news. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon and drive safely.
Would you please thank Peter Holmes from Auctioneering Company. Congratulations to our winner. What a fantastic amount. Thank you again to Rapid Crushing for the bottle of Grange. And again, thank you to Miners' Promise. I hope the 4,200 just donated helps you to do your important work. Thank you very much. I'm going to invite Victoria Jackson now from the Minerals Council of Australia up to the stage to draw our door prizes. These are courtesy of Optus Stadium. So our door prizes this afternoon, folks, we have one double pass to a BBL game and one double pass to an AFL game in 2022. So some pretty awesome prizes. No test match tickets, obviously, because it's probably not going to happen. But that's okay. Thank you, Victoria. Tell us who our door prize winners are.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you've had a great day here. It's been pretty fabulous. The winners today are Miles Shammer, who is not here, who was sitting at our table actually, I don't know. I'll pick someone else. Kirsty Barasanti and Adrian Bartelli. You don't need to come and collect them, the prizes will come to you. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
Thank you to Wave as well for donating this door prize as well, the pressurised growler. That's what it says on the box, Kirsty. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the close of another year. Can you believe it, for the WA Mining Club? Thank you for being part of our final monthly luncheon here this afternoon. A record crowd, so thanks for being part of history. We'll be back next year with another exciting lineup of speakers, panel discussions, members-only events, all sorts of other offerings to not only keep you engaged, but also to celebrate our 50-year anniversary. So it's going to be a massive year next year. If you're not a member already of the WA Mining Club, then this would be a great time to join. If you'd like to speak about partnerships to anyone, Natalie, just on table 8 here, or any of the other committee members will kindly help you out, I'm sure. This is a really important bit, folks. Really important bit coming up. If you'd like to stay on for some more refreshments, Optus Stadium has opened the bar at the Bank West Centre, so you can kick on there if you like until 5 o'clock, and Chris Murphy will also be there this afternoon. It's a cash bar only, apparently. Is that right, Cass? Of course, you have to pay for your own drinks there, is what I'm trying to say. Please take your table gifts with you as well. The potato peeler. Take the peelers with you. And the hammers as well. A bottle top on the top of a hammer. What a genius idea. So please take them with you. And once again, before we wrap up, would you please join me in thanking our sponsors, the Minerals Council of Australia, Westrac, Bilby Downing Teal, AMCAT, Deloitte, Australasian Mining Services, Wave International and CPC Engineering. So finally, on behalf of the Mining Club President, Natalie Hook, the Vice President, Natalie Taylor. That was a faux pas, wasn't it? I was so close too. Natalie Taylor, the Vice President, Craig Hook, and the committee. Thank you again for being here this afternoon. Enjoy the festive season, stay safe, and we'll see you in 2021. Nat, I apologise. Bye for now. See you later. 2022. It's just a number.